Good afternoon. You're watching our ongoing coverage of the investigation into the murder of Sergeant Kenei, who worked at Harambee House Annex. And if you were with us about 5 minutes or so ago, we were live from the DCI offices where the officers at the DCI were briefing the media on the latest in the investigations, calling it a cold-blooded murder and releasing some more details of the events before the murder that took place following that visit by Echesa and a few other individuals to the DP's offices, that's at Harambee House Annex. So they gave a lot of details about the video, about how much time Echesa spent, but of course many asking whether this has got, we know they're related, but the direct link between these two cases. We want to take you now to Hassan Mugambi, who has been at the DCI offices, and he can now give us the latest. In just a moment, we'll be getting back to him. But some of the details that they talked about in that press conference was that on the 19th of last month, they were looking for Sergeant Kenei to record a statement. He was nowhere to be seen. He said he sought some help and some guidance from a close friend to show him how to write a statement, which the DCI officer says shows that he had every intention of recording a statement with them. Hassan Mugambi, like we said, has been at the DCI headquarters covering the very latest in the investigations into the murder of Sergeant Kenei in this Echesa murder probe, and he now gives us the latest. Hassan?
Thank you very much, Yvonne from Baki's studio. We have just come out from a very lengthy press conference, detailing the how the murder took place and where the body was found and whether or not it was consistent with the scene of crime as the officers who visited the scene went and found out. Now, what the DCI has told us is that there are investigating right now the link between Kenei's death and the active investigation that is going on against Rashid Echesa, former sports cabinet secretary, who is in court on different counts of, forgery, as well as questions of fraud and question of impersonation that are going on in court, which will not be delving much into it because it is a matter into court. But then again, what they said is that their investigations into that particular what they are saying that could be the beginning of the events that led to the death of this particular officer, that is Sergeant Kipigon Kenei, is that he is seen, and there's no doubt that he knew and took part in the facilitation of Rashid Echesa and the other suspects, as well as the victims of this particular fraud, those that were the investors who came to Kenya and in the pretext or in the hope that they will be, buying or rather supplying military equipment to the country. They are seen entering, and Kenei is seen, ushering them into the VIP entrance of the office of the Deputy President. And while he was doing that, he was on phone. They yet to establish who, or rather they are trying to just establish who exactly was on phone with him, trying saying that he could have been receiving information or instructions from that particular person on the other hand of the phone call that he was making while ushering in those Echesa and the rest into the DP's office. Contrary to what we had earlier on, that they only stayed there for 23 minutes, they actually did stay there for a little more than an hour. 1 hour, 22 minutes and change. That is according to the CCTV footage now gathered later on. What the officers were given when they first approached the office of the Deputy President was 22 minutes of footage, or 23 minutes of footage that was recorded on phone, because they say that the security personnel at the office of the Deputy President did not let them, take the servers themselves and the memory where the footage was stored, but then they were only showed and allowed to record on phone what the DCI Kenei has since called an edited version of the events. They were only showed what they wanted, what the people at the office of the Deputy President wanted them to see. But then again, after they went back and collected the whole footage now, it so turns out that they were there for more than 1 hour, 1 hour and 22 minutes to be precise. And the facilitation that happened, he is seen, Kenei is seen, you know, being on the forefront to trying to facilitate them. And also when they exited, he is seen exiting carrying a newspaper. And then what also they said is that he was supposed to be recording a statement here at the DCI headquarters on the 19th of February, which he did not, and he was nowhere to be seen. And it struck them odd that much as he was nowhere to be seen, not his supervisor, no one in the office of the Deputy President tried to look for him on that particular day. They're saying that it is that day that later on, the next day, the body was found after the house was seen to be, you know, not properly locked, and the neighbors became suspicious. And when they opened the door, they found the body of the late officer in his house. The scene of the crime, they're saying it is not consistent with the murder, because where the body was found, if at all he shot himself, as the allegations were, he would have fallen on his bed. But then again, they found his body on the floor, and the point of entry, the trajectory of entry of the bullet from his chin, and where it came out from his, you know, next to his forehead, just above his forehead, is also not consistent with someone who has shot themselves, because it would, if you shoot yourself, then it would be that the bullet comes out from somewhere in the middle of the top of your head. But also what they are investigating and what they have not provided a lot of answers to is the kind of visa that the two investors came in with into the country, because they might have come in, they were conducting business, and it is expected that they must have come in through a business visa and not a tourist visa, as the case was. So that is also suspect in its own way, and they could be not off the hook. They could be, you know, arraigned later on. Right now, they are being held as suspects, or rather as witnesses. But then again, they could be having a case to answer if at all it will be found that they came in on a business, on a tourist visa, and tried to conduct business with the government of Kenya. Yvonne.